Welcome to Refraction. If you haven't been here before, we're going to have some food around 12:30. We wanted to get the event started and leave some time at the end for people to grab food and network. So look forward to that shortly. In case you don't know Refraction, we're a co-working space that brings together tech startups, nonprofits, art and artists right here in Reston Town Center, of course. We really seek to serve the community in a very holistic way, so our goal is to have programming that is geared toward the growth of startups and nonprofits. I'll just go through a few more events we have in the coming days. So this morning we had an event opening up to the space to companies who want to collaborate for the day. So if you're interested, you're welcome to stick around for the rest of the day and continue to collaborate with people in the space. We have obviously lunch and learn right now. We actually have a happy hour and karaoke night tomorrow, so that'll be fun. Karaoke is not required, but you're welcome to give it a shot. We have a poker night next week, which is a fun collaborative way to bring people together. We also have another lunch and learn to look forward to later in the month from one of our member companies, Risk Lens. So that should be an interesting exploration of how their software is able to help companies to quantify cybersecurity risk. Without too much ado, I'd love to introduce two representatives from the Technology Coalition of the Small Business Administration, Chris and Alexandra. So if you wouldn't mind, just help me give them a round of applause.
Good afternoon, or close to afternoon. Yeah, right at afternoon. How's everybody doing today? Great. My name's Chris James. I'm with the Small Business Administration. I'm actually out of the headquarters. I oversee all of our office field operations throughout the United States, and I'll introduce Alexandra in just a few minutes. But first I want to know what type of businesses do we have in the room? So anybody can just shout out. Tech businesses, what type of business do we have? Tech? Yeah. Publishing? Consulting? Great. How many folks have used SBA product or service? Awesome. So I'm glad that we're here to provide you some information about what we do at the U.S. Small Business Administration. Before we get started, I just want to say that we do not promote Canvas whatsoever, or that we have to say that. We are a partnership with Canvas and many other tech coalitions throughout the nation, and it's been a great partnership. So about a few months ago, we launched the SBA Technology Coalition along with close to 11 partners at the launch, and we have now up to 20 partners. The Tech Coalition provides resources for you as business owners via our web portal that might help you with your business and at free or no charge to you. So Canvas is part of the Technology Coalition. We're very excited to be doing events like this, not only with Canvas, but all of our members across the country. The Small Business Administration, we focus a lot on what we call our 3 C's and the D. We focus on capital, contracting, counseling, and disaster. With our capital, and Alexandra talked a little bit about what her office does. With our capital, we guarantee about $23 billion a year to small businesses nationwide. So pretty big network. We also provide support for venture capitalists. We have one of the largest angel investment companies in the world, where we provide some assistance in angel investments. Through our contracting, the federal government contracts about $530 billion a year. So especially being in this area, if you are looking at doing government contracting, we do have resources to assist. Plus we have our counseling networks. We have over 1,000 resource partners nationwide that can help with your business planning, succession planning, helping your business get to next level. And then we have our special initiatives like the Technology Coalition, where we provide other resources for you if it's in a public-private partnership that we do, or if it's an actual partner that we provide, like our small business development centers or our SCORE centers. And then in time of disaster, which we sometimes see in the news, we are there to help small businesses that are affected by a disaster. For example, recently with some fires in California or the recent floods in Texas that we've seen on TV, we're able to provide businesses that not only have been affected by the disaster, but also homes that have been affected, and we can provide some assistance support in our disaster lending. Before I turn it over to my colleague to talk about what we do at a local level, does anyone have any questions right off top at a national level that maybe I can answer just right off any dying question that you may have? Go ahead, yes.
When you talk about your angel network, are you really talking about SBICs?
We are talking about SBIC, small business investment companies. Yes, so we have a network of small business investment companies. We have close to about 300 around the United States that have received support from SBA. Any other questions? Well, great. I'm going to be around today through this event, and my colleague's going to talk a little bit about the local level before we turn it over to James. So thank you for inviting us.
Hi. There we go. My name's Alexandra, and I'm an economic development specialist in what is known as the Washington Metropolitan Area District Office, fondly known as the DC District Office, but I don't like that name because we help out companies in Northern Virginia, Montgomery, and Prince George's County. So my job in the SBA and how it relates to you is I am your help on the ground. Chris deals with the national level, he reports to Congress. I get to help you guys out, so I love my job because I actually get to be face to face with the small businesses. As Chris said, the way we help is counseling, contracting, capital support. And through all of that, that's when you reach out to the district offices. We're the ones who help you navigate this whole entire minefield of the SBA. We have 68 district offices around the United States, including Guam, Puerto Rico, and the US Virgin Islands. So even if you're not in the Northern Virginia area, let's say you're whatever the county south is. I'm sorry, I really don't know my geography of the DC area very well. But let's say you're past Quantico. We have the Richmond district office right there. If you're in Howard County in Maryland, we have the Baltimore office. So we're all over the place. But how I help you out is when you have questions, who to contact. You're like, hey, I'm ready to export. Whom can I speak to about this? I can direct you to places. You want to get into federal contracting. How do you get more one-on-one help? I can help you, direct you to where to go on all those places. That's the counseling support that Chris was talking about. On the capital side, we work with local banks in the area to carry SBA loan products for you. So you don't come to the SBA and apply for a loan through us. We don't have any money to give out, unfortunately. You go through traditional lenders. We work with micro lenders also in the area. We have 4 of them. We just got a new one on. So 4 of them that work in this area to help out small businesses anywhere between $500 to $50,000 a loan. And the micro lenders are really great because they actually provide a little bit more technical support. And then we have our contracting support. So what we do, and kind of what my specialty is kind of in the certification arena. So as Chris mentioned, there's a lot of money out there in federal contracting dollars, and we go ahead and help businesses enter this arena because we're aware of it. You guys are dealing with the Northrop Grummons, the Microsofts of the world. So how do you compete with all of them when they have a dedicated staff of 50 to 100 people to respond to RFPs and RFQs when you're one person? So we help out through certifications where we have set aside programs. I specifically deal with the women-owned small business one, but our office also deals with kind of the biggest chunk that's very well known around here, known as the 8A Business Development Program. And out of that, 20% of the country's whole entire 8A portfolio comes out of my office. So we are the people who, if you have questions about that stuff, are confused, want to know how to get into this arena, that's when you come to me. And if I don't have that answer, I will go and get that answer. And I have the joy of being housed in the same building as headquarters, and I have absolutely no problem walking upstairs and knocking on their door and be like, hey, can I get an answer on this? So I'm here for you guys. I have business cards, as Chris mentioned, will be around. and my business cards have my direct number and my direct email address. It's my name, so I can't make that up. So reach out to me and with any types of questions you may have. So, but I'll answer any questions on the spot if there are any, because I see one kind of burning over here.
So I'm working with a client that's having a problem with a small business certification, but at the state level. So does your process piggyback in some way that you could be helpful?
We don't, because as I mentioned, we deal with DC, Maryland, and Virginia, but I do have contacts that can help you on the state level. Are you in Virginia? Okay, we have our Procurement Technical Assistance Center out of George Mason University.
Oh, I know feedback, yeah.
Okay, if you contact Anna, and if you don't get a response, I'll contact Anna directly. She's the director over there.
Okay, I didn't know who replaced Jim.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Anna's great, and I can give you her direct email. I'll give you my card after this, and yep, and that's kind of what I do. So right there, perfect example of what I do. So with that, I'll hand it over to you.
Awesome. Hello. I'm massively tall, so if you don't mind, I'll move this to the maximum height. My name is James Quigley. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Canvas. I will limit the commercial spots for Canvas to an absolute minimum. Because my role here today is as a member of the SBA's Technology Coalition. So what is this and who are these companies and why? At least my impression of this is that the SBA has realized today, which I think is an awesome differentiator even for our country as a whole, is that innovation / technology, if we're looking at the tool aspect of innovation, is moving so much faster than it ever was before. And the benefits for this innovation can really revolutionize not just big companies anymore, but tiny companies. And the reality is, and you know, the sad fact of that is that it's harder as a small business to understand what is out there faster, right? You just have fewer people, fewer time. And so what happens is, this amazing movement that's happened even in the last 5 years is not always readily, let's say, apparent to a small business, but beyond any time ever in our country's history, that tools are far more available to small businesses to make major changes. And in some cases, because of your nimbleness, this technology can actually make you more nimble, more powerful, more capable than a large business. And we see that today, that some technology that was used as a massive differentiator, and I'll use companies like UPS, big company, provides delivery services. And they're one of the first companies who embraced proof of delivery, right? You can show up digitally and get a digital proof of delivery, and then the small company, man, I can't afford technology like that. I gotta have you sign something on paper. The capabilities now for you in those areas are far greater, in some cases because of your nimbleness, to provide a service like that and to customize it in ways that the UPS is going, man, I wish I could do that. We're just too big to move in that direction. So the problem is, as a small company, some of this awareness is just, it's hard for you to get aware. So I see the role of the members of the Technology Coalition, not necessarily to sell our wares, albeit most of these companies on here make a good living selling technology to small businesses, but is to act as shepherds for sending this information out there to make it more available, and to take a role in trying to find ways to make this information more available. The funny part about this is, how are we communicating this on our website? So, I mean, we're using technology to communicate to people who need to learn about technology. So that's why physical things like this, I think, are awesome, and maybe some untraditional ways as well. So that's what the Technology Coalition is, at least in my filter, in all of it. That's pretty good, right? I don't know, maybe. Interesting thing happening in two particular areas around this technology curve and value curve. And I sort of look at it on two axes. One, people who are willing to embrace technology
and their impact to business, right? And see two elements. There's a lot of technology that's helping businesses do better at the operational aspect of what they do. And that technology's been pretty prevalent. But there's a second aspect, which is actually getting, probably even moving faster than the first aspect, is how are customers, how do you engage new customers? How do you get new customers? How do you market to those customers? And there's a lot of movement there, and there's a lot of noise there too. I had a slide in here where I was going to show you all the technology tools in the marketing automation space, the sales automation space. And the cool thing about the slide is that the font or the pictures are so tiny, there's literally tens of thousands of particular options and choices there when it comes to sales and marketing automation. And the cool thing is, for a small business, a lot of them are wildly affordable now. So you look along this curve, and hopefully, I'm guessing there's sort of a varying level of degree of consumption from, hey, come on, I've done all this before. Give me the good stuff. To amazingly enough, a high percentage of small businesses that still don't even operate a website, right? So if we look at the business operation curve, where we've come and where we're going, one is just desktop server based software to store, collect information, put it in a central location in a digital format, right? And then there's, okay, hey, now that I've done that, what can I do to make those processes better, more efficient? And then now we're getting into the curve of where the companies who may be on the bleeding edge, or the leading edge, I should say, are starting to tackle things, is that we're living in a mobile-first world. And I'll share one interesting stat. We do a lot of business globally. One hot location for us right now in Asia, and I'm just pull out this one country because their stats are amazingly interesting, is in the Philippines. In the Philippines, 97% of all small businesses have no automation at all. None. They don't have a computer. They are using paper, they're using pencil, they're meeting their customers, they're doing their work. And yet, in the next 3 to 4 years, 85% of them will own a smartphone. So what we find there is the same thing that happened in Japan about 20 years ago, was this incredible technology leapfrog, where the East far surpassed the West when it came to deploying mobile phones from a speed perspective. And part of that was, for them, they could leapfrog the expense of landlines, where for us, everybody had a phone in the United States, right? You had a phone, it was very easy, but in Japan, it cost a lot of money. You had to register, you had to wait. Same thing we see is happening, is going to happen in the East right now around technology. And it will be mobile first that will drive this. And you're seeing this now, certainly here too, that a lot of businesses, when they're going to start it, they're going, should I get a laptop? Maybe I don't need a laptop. Maybe I can just do this all with a phablet or a tablet or a phone. Next piece now is amazing quantity of data. And you hear big data, it's a trend, it's a word, doesn't mean anything unless you actually can put it down to the ground and do something with it. And big data was a topic for big companies, right? I got a lot of data, a lot of things. And now the funny thing is, as small companies, you guys are going, hey, I've got a lot of information now that I've collected from all this new tech. Now what do I do with it? And more than ever before, there are tools that are wildly affordable for you to be able to put in even simple information and get information out of the system. Isn't that's very, very cool. So this technology is not just for big companies anymore. Probably the more exciting part of this, because this is just taking your business now and this is the nuts and bolts. But here's what things I think get really interesting and exciting is how we're acquiring customers. And by the way, this is being very much led generationally, and I'm going to talk about a little bit more about that. So, all right, a website, that was like the height of technology. I'm going to show you some horrible examples of and what people still think website. Email marketing, oh, I got to do that. Emails, people have got emails, maybe I send them something. Instead of a newsletter, paper newsletter, I'll send them that, right? That's the height for some people. But let's start talking about where people are going right now. One is social engagement, right? Is that engaging customers, especially millennials and the Gen Z, is that they're engaging in technology, they're engaging in solutions, they're engaging very differently than ever before. And so this idea of affirmation through social engagement, hey, you believe in what I believe in, so what are you doing? And that is very digital process today. And this leads into advanced marketing techniques, which is not just for technology companies anymore, too. This idea that what can we do, not just as socially engaged, but how do we get people to come to us? And what are the strategies out there available? And some of this, again, for mid-sized companies or big companies, this is the strategies big companies are using. But the cool thing, again, there are tools and capabilities available at price points where small companies now can engage in that. So I'm going to give a couple of examples, some of which, again, if you're on the earlier stage, you're going to go, of course I did that, or I did that 5 years ago. So we think of things like the tools we used to use on the operational side. Hey, of course, hey, we're going to start putting our information inside of a computer, right? Anyone remember Lotus 123? One of my first jobs, I was in the military for a while and went on board a ship, and the guy there was just starting to automate their systems, and he said, I got this computer, someone told me to get a computer, and then I had to put something on the computer because then I realized a computer doesn't actually do anything without software. And someone gave me this database thing. Can you put our entire parts system in here? I don't know how that would work. And so one of my first jobs was chunking out code in Lotus 123, which is funny. But so database systems and accounting, people know that, right? You know that, you put your information in there. And on the other side, for how you got customers and when you first took your move into tech, you did something like this. This is horrible, right? This is a real website from today. I didn't pull, this isn't like I didn't go to the Wayback Machine. This was actually at a website, I looked up worst websites. And I thought, oh, this is a screenshot from, no, this is someone's website today. So, and here's another one. This was from a marketing company bragging, I swear to God, this is from a marketing company bragging, hey, I can help you build a website. And then they sent me to this website. So, but this is okay, but this does show you how people saw websites then. This was, what you had to do was you had to have one, and it was a marketing slick, right? It was a place because you had to check a box, and it became marketing propaganda for you, right? It was a place for you to put the normal propaganda you would put, and that was the purpose. But I'm going to talk about what the purpose of a website now and some of these advanced marketing techniques. So when you're taking these first steps, no matter where you are on the curve, if you're using every bit of Eloqua or HubSpot, your gaming Facebook's advertising components and finding out, wait, this friend of mine's a plumber and I sell to plumbers and therefore I want to be able to market to like people. Or if you're down on wanting to get off a website like that, it's all the same. Really, these are just tools. But, and I'll quote, he's not here, it's one of our team members, I told him I quote him too, one of the more famous small medium business experts, Keith Bateman, is that it's always the same. Is that no matter what tool you're taking is to analyze your pain points, like any other problem, an opportunity you're struggling with, analyze those and what's this problem costing me, right? Now, I need more customers, and if I don't get more customers, or if I could get more customers, or hey, by losing an hour a day for my workers because they're filling out paperwork, what does that cost me? So all of this starts in the same fashion as anything else. So if you're thinking like this is an elephant, and how do you eat an elephant? Well, it's one bite at a time, is that this is the first bite. You analyze and start quantifying these problems, prioritizing them. It's a really simple beginning step in a process. But now I'm going to tell you what has changed. So what has changed versus this is always a process. What has changed? And a lot of it is generational. First, guerrilla marketing has changed, and is changing really fast. The idea of how you get out there and get your message out there and engage companies is changing. It's changing really, really quick. The game of acquiring new prospects has changed, but also it's generationally driven, right? We used to say the younger generation, they do things different. No, they really do things different now, and they've got the tools to do things different. So this isn't any way just how they feel different, because they do feel different, but they're using tools that are wildly different. Used to be a quote that with 70% of the jobs that are going to be available for kindergartners don't exist today, right? It's amazing. The interesting thing is that's a quote from 5 years ago. We don't even know. So this is a generation that thinks really differently, and they're just used to consuming things wildly differently. And as part of that, how different generations validate things is different too. We used to go a couple generations in a row and people would validate things would be very, very similar. How you'd find customers would be very, very similar. There'd be slight tweaks, and those generations may feel differently, but now generations are using tools wildly differently. And you gotta realize that too. And this generation that's starting to spend money, it's coming up, they're no longer kids anymore, are making decisions in a very different fashion. And talk to small businesses, if you talk to a lot of small businesses like our company does, for some of them, it's a wildly, like, what happened to my company? I went 20 years, 50 years, my grandfather's company, and we used to do things this way, and they're going, Facebook, do I need that? So the tools to improve our business is obviously improved. We're living in a mobile-first world. And this last comment I'm going to say too, I love when people say we're going to get online, I can tell you, the Gen Z and the millennials, there's no such thing as getting online before. We are connected. We're always connected. There is no more getting on the internet, right? We are always connected today. And that becomes a key component of how we think about this too, that we have to think differently about this. I'm going to give two very specific examples of generational components. Please take no offense. I'm a Gen X person, so I'm right in the middle. Notice I left myself out from this evaluation. But there's some radical differences here. And it doesn't mean, by the way, that we are living in a time when the newer generations pulling the older generations into this too. So it doesn't mean that the boomers aren't changing, and they are, but the lead is being set by the younger generations. And when Gen Y is now considering retro stuff now, and because the generation behind them is pressing against them hard, it's hard to believe. But let's put it this way: how we acquired customers, the boomers, radio, small businesses. That was like, even take technology, Constant Contact still says today one of the biggest reasons and ways in which they started their email marketing system and grew it was radio. Print, coupons, that was always good, right? Hey, I'm gonna give you a physical coupon, 20% off something. Referrals, and this hasn't changed, but referrals was a small network, and it was very physical, right? Your neighbor, you're gonna get some money off the paving, the neighbor was gonna do it, you did it together, and very physical media. Hard to make that viral, and it was expensive. Upselling and cross-selling, one of the things we love in our business is, ever seen the sticker on your HVAC machine? Hey, this machine breaks down, who's to call? You know why they did that? They did that so when you sold your house or when you forgot who you serviced, it was one of the best ways of marketing, right? Because it was incredibly physical, right there in your face, and a lot of personalized touch points. So let's talk about what's happening with the younger generation now. Social context, affirmation. People don't need to talk to other people about when they're starting that journey of learning where they're going to go to purchase something. They start online. They always start online. And they don't just do research, they look for social context, affirmation, and validation from peer groups. So they look at reviews. They look at how a site was designed. How does it make them feel? They check Facebook to see what services or things people are using that are in their peer group. It's not even just people they know. So this is not, the referrals aren't anymore, hey, it does help, it certainly helps. But referrals aren't just, hey, I know you, what do you use? That certainly is big. It is, I know how you feel, because you feel like I do, and you're in my group. What are you looking at? What are you doing? I see this today with my kids, with games, playing this cool game called Roadblocks. If you've got kids now, it's a thing, obviously Pokemon, things like that, but how people are affirming those things is not just from their direct friends, it's from social groups that are similar to theirs. And then that's when things start going viral. They check things on price. They want to do a lot of research first. And why? Because they can. We would have liked this technology 20, 30 years ago. We just didn't have it. So, but they like doing all of that themselves. So having a website no longer is about, hey, I'm going to go there and get the marketing slick. I'm going to go see who's linking back to your website. I'm going to go see, is there a way I can check Angie's list to see how you're doing? And other services and things like that. There are small companies today who can actually calculate that a half-star increase in something like Yelp, actually has a monetized dollar amount. A half star. If I get another half star in Yelp, this means this to me. And so a lot of small companies are starting to think this way. When other companies are going, how do I get my next print ad, or can I get on the radio? Any questions? I'll go faster. Sorry. I'm gonna go through a couple things too. And some of these advanced, but you guys are advanced, so you're fine. Technology can be a differentiator. It can be, and can be a massive differentiator for your business, no matter what kind of business you're in. Whether you're using advanced SEO, you don't even know what SEO is, or you're into hyper-local, figuring out how to game search engine optimization and making sure that if you're searching for a plumber and you're searching for it in Herndon, what am I doing from a website perspective to make sure that I'm optimizing, not people just finding me, but finding me based on hyper-local SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization. Content-based marketing, people building a website and actually having people come to you. What people want to know is, are you an expert in what you do? Can you help me? Can you not just sell to me? And you're seeing a lot more of that, this idea of content-based marketing, a lot of which is based on video now too. People are using video to communicate with each other, and you're going to see that as a massive ongoing trend, that content will be very, very video related. Being able to pull analytics on these things, so you go, hey, I got a website, and the next step is, well, my website doing anything for me? Can I make my website better? Well, how do you measure that? So all of these tools necessary to be able to measure those components, again, are very, very available to you today. Google Analytics is your friend, and they're certainly one of the tech coalition partners. I won't go through all of this, but I will say this on the productivity side. We talked a little marketing. There are so many amazing tools for how you can automate your business. Now we talk about from a job perspective in the United States that there's, wait, this is a dramatic shift. I don't need the person, the clerical person to do this. I don't need the people typing in the hours that people are operating. And so you're actually seeing this very interesting shift, and we're seeing it too. This is not about eliminating people. This is about actually uptraining and upskilling people to be able to do new jobs. As much as we, in a lot of these companies, and our company included, we talk about, hey, you don't need to have a person to do this anymore. That ultimately, those companies don't want to let people go. They would rather upskill those people and put them on the front line of solving bigger problems. And we're seeing a lot of that today. But certainly HR, finance, paper-based processes, billing, all of those for small businesses are table stakes. And these are some of the tools that people are using today. I tried to pull some directly from our friends from the SBA, but around collaboration and sharing, the ability to have all of what you need and to be able to share it, not just with yourselves, because a lot of people think of these tech and collaboration tools as putting PowerPoint in the cloud, but now you can start sharing this with your customers. And our product, for example, is a great one. Imagine you create a digital invoice, and it's an interactive one where they can actually click and learn about your company. Maybe they can see a video on how to best maintain the dishwasher that just got repaired. They can come back to your website, and then they can see everything that they've ever done with you in the cloud. These sort of things are very, very available for small businesses. Box, Slack, Google, all great solutions. And you could spend, for those three solutions, for your entire company, you could end up spending $10, $15 a month for all three of those solutions. That's how affordable this is. If you were to replicate what Box, Slack, and Google Apps, Google Drive, and things like that were doing just, let's say, 5, 6 years ago, you wouldn't be able to do it. You'd have to hire a tech person to put, I don't know, a server in your own cloud for documents, creating a collaborative environment for chat so you could share ideas within your small company. That would have been, you would have been buying something else. You could have easily spent a ton of money on something that now costs $10, $15 a month.
Yeah, I have a quick question and a comment. I was born in '65, I'm Sharon, and recently I went to visit my ex-husband in Chicago and he said, can you get rid of the stuff in the garage? So I signed up for Buku, and I made $600 selling some old stuff in the garage.
Yeah.
And then one other person said, can you sell one of your products? And I realized I could put my product on an app that was free
Yeah.
and make money. And I think for people in my generation, I look at these tools and we're just so unaware.
Yeah.
And I just feel like in this area, is there products like that where you can actually put services? And when you start looking at these and you go down to small businesses,
Yep.
is there a resource for small businesses to get apps and to learn about apps that are friendly for their business?
Right. A shameless plug for at least the Technology Coalition of the SBA, some great companies listed there. There are a number of different locations. Funny enough, actually Apple and Google's own app store for business, you go under business and productivity. And there are a few locations too, our company included, where we incorporate over 22,000 pre-built experiences built on our platform, of which probably a good 70% of our revenue comes from small, medium businesses. So there are a number of sites that are sort of coalesced. You gotta still poke around, do a little bit of research. There are some big names, like we listed earlier, that are heavily involved in this. Here's the problem though, or the opportunity, is that this doesn't stand still anymore. As soon as I did this presentation, which I was finishing it up this morning, it's dated. This is just the environment we live in today, that so much is changing so quickly. And being able to find better ways to research and ongoing research, but there's a couple resources at least there that I shared with you that should be able to help. Finance and HR has been one that we've been automating for a while, but this is an industry that's actually going through a revolution onto a revolution onto a revolution, where innovation is starting to eat itself, where solutions for automating and putting your people in the cloud and doing that and paying them is considered old hat. And then you add companies like Zenefits, who are now starting to innovate on top of the innovation. And so what you're starting to see is things like just accounting software is, if you had a digital accounting system, you go, well, you're probably 3 versions behind what's possible today. The last area, business process improvement and other areas that have been sort of left undone, and customer engagement are probably some of the more exciting areas where there's a lot going on there. Certainly Canvas, Square, Salesforce are 3 big brands and part of the SBA's Technology Coalition. I'm going to give you 3 local ideas though too, and we're going to stay afterwards. This was supposed to be a short one. I apologize for going over. I'm notoriously verbose. So I'll hang out afterwards, and then we'll be verbose one-on-ones, and then you can eat some great food that they brought in. But I did want to give some local areas, because I'm local. I love helping local companies. But these are awesome solutions as well. So, and they'll start sparking some ideas. Hey, finding customers is hard today, right? Engaging them to get to your website, and now you just heard from me that you probably need to hire a millennial or a Gen Z person to go in there and tweak your hyper-local SEO. You're like, what? I don't even know what you said, but this sounds exciting and interesting, but I need to get people, I need to create content, I need to create video, I need to tell stories. But there are some really cool solutions that are inexpensive for engaging customers in really different ways. Cool solution, fairly local, called Talk Local. What they do is, if you're me and I need plumbing done, I don't know why I'm using plumbers. I get nobody here. Anyone here a plumber? There never is. But I use that as the metaphor. It might be the Joe the Plumber thing from years ago. But anyway, you're a plumber, and you would love to engage this new generation, and you're struggling for that. With a service like Talk Local, as me and I need plumbing, I could literally go in there and type my zip code and say I need plumbing and give the general sense of it. I can actually talk to it. It would automatically call contact all the local plumbers, would send them out this via a voice message, ask them to hit a button if they wanted to engage in providing a quote for that, and then they would contact you back real time. So instead of going and looking at the Yellow Pages, hey, what sort of, how many plumbers in my area? Are they good plumbers? They curate the best ones, and then you get immediately quotes back real time, usually within minutes. We've actually seen a demo in our space on it. It's really awesome. And it works not just for plumbers, but for a lot of different professionals. These are the sort of solutions that are available today. Imagine on your website today, we just talked about that you need to, tweak, and for some people going, I got a website, and I even know what SEO is. Please, you're insulting my intelligence. And then you go, but hyper-local SEO, what the heck is that? Google has started tweaking, has continued to tweak their engine for how people find businesses. By the way, small medium business for Google is wildly important. This is one of the #1 topics of things that they're looking to tweak around their search engine today. Because 5 years ago, we go in Google and you type in, I want a plumber. And you would get back a plumber in Nebraska. And they go, okay, fine, I'll put my location. And you'd still get weird things back. So what they've realized is hey, companies don't always do the best job of tweaking their own SEO. And so they're taking some mid-steps, and they're asking people to take some mid-steps to make better websites, right? And the better websites are actually getting better scores within Google. Companies like Surefire Social, and there's a number of them out there, what they do is they help you tune your website to be hyper-local. What do I mean by that? So if you took a solution like Canvas, I'm going back to the plumber, I apologize. Let's say he's got a plumbing website and he wants more people to come to his website, learn about his business, find out how he's doing on Angie's List, maybe book a job. But he's having problems getting people to his website. And what you're finding with a company like Surefire Social is they collect information from services like Canvas, where every day we're collecting all the jobs that are happening in the field. We know it was in Herndon. We know that they replaced a sink. There's a map of the location of where they did the work, and a description of what the homeowner thought of the work. And that information has been collected, and they're doing nothing with it. So in this case, what Surefire Social can do can suck in the information from Canvas and put real time on their website a list of all the jobs that they just completed, when they've done them, sort of effectively real time tuning their website to say, oh, plumbing job, replaced a sink in Herndon, here's a picture of the job, here's a map of the location. What happens from this is the more jobs they do through something like Canvas, the more real time they're tuning their hyper-local SEO, or something like Google's going, oh, you're creating a lot of new content. You're doing work obviously in Herndon and Reston and Fairfax. Awesome. You're now the #1 plumbing site according to SEO because you're creating a website that's growing over time and that's being fed from your customers. That's the sort of capabilities that are available today when we talk about how to tune things like SEO. The last one, a company called Canvas. I heard they're doing great. Those guys, so awesome. Basically what they do is they automate all of these manual-based processes that are mobile first. If you're a plumber, an electrician, you're a school, you're an inspection company, you're Washington, D.C. Metro Police, which I heard just a new customer of ours, and you're collecting and working in a mobile-first environment, having to collect information, get that information to where it needs to go, and then learning something about your business real time. That's what we do. We allow you to create your own experiences without having to create your own mobile application for these experiences, without having to be a software developer. And then here's sort of a very physical output of what you could create on your own too. So that when you send an invoice out now, you can get someone to leave you an Angie's List review, come to your website, get a digital coupon, go to your Facebook page. Or if you just want to give them a digital invoice that they can read, and then you can get that information back into your Intuit system, your QuickBooks system, you can do that as well. Matter of fact, today, you'll be receiving one of these lovely documents on when you checked in. So when you checked in, we're engaging you like a small business. Refraction's a small business. So what happened is we gathered your information, and part of that is to engage you in a conversation, a digital conversation. When's our next event? How do you learn more about us? Versus, hey, I just checked in, go to the back. We're trying to engage this community in an ongoing conversation. So I am over. I'll take some questions. I'll pop up some of these lovely companies behind us. Always love being on a list ahead of Google, because come on, who doesn't want that? Canvas, Google. Anyway. Yep. Yes, sir.
You emphasize hyperlocal, which applies to small service businesses that are customers local. I'm the exact opposite of that. I have a product, I sell it anywhere in the world. People can order it on the website. I need to know how to get to SEO and get people to be able to find my products
Right.
everywhere. Locally is of zero interest.
Got it. No. So, great question. I got a website. I need people to come to that website so I can engage them and sell them some things. Many of what we're seeing of these items here under number 2, forget the hyper-local piece. It's all about creating. Probably 5-6 years ago, this idea, and actually I think it's generationally driven, and by the way, I think it's an awesome, authentic thing, is that we're working with a generation that doesn't want to be sold to. They want to decide to purchase something.
It's not just
Right.
the young generation, I'm the same.
Right. Right, so we're all seeing this. And so as part of this, websites had to move from just providing marketing literature to actually being subject matter experts in a field so that people would come to them if they had those problems. So let's say you sell, I don't know, anti-drone software, and you're trying to sell it to airports all over the world, right? And so you could have a website that would have a whole bunch of marketing slicks on your anti-drone software so that drones don't fly over your airport, right? Jams drones out. There's actually a local company that does this. And so that would have been it, and you would have struggled for that. Google rewards you for actually engaging customers or engaging people in a conversation on this. So we used to call it from our SEO expert, blog flogging, is that flogging us as a company for not creating blogs that would not just be salesy, but that would engage in a conversation. Part of that is creating an ongoing content stream that puts you into the stream of conversation that's being had for people, not just looking to buy that, but people who are having that problem. So part of that might be doing interviews with airports who are having this as a problem, having conversations with what's happening in the FAA around drones, and starting to actually sort of participate authentically and acting as an expert for people in these areas. It is one of the #1 things you can do from a website perspective to get people back to you. Obviously, social engagement's a piece. I don't know what your product is, and some things don't sell as well. If you're selling bank security software, having a Facebook page maybe not as valuable as if, the more and more you lean toward B2C. But a lot of B2B software is there is a lot of engagement that's happening where there's social engagement. But if you're straight just trying to market it, trying to get people to your website, content-based marketing is not just the hot thing right now, it is the thing. And then you start leading into, don't just write a blog. So our company, we probably put out a blog, maybe not every day, but we put out new content multiple times a day. That we start leading into video. And other types of content, engaging our customers to create our content. Some of our best content's created by our community, and so we engage them to start creating content to have them so that the community is actually starting to develop the content. You see this with places like Apple and Microsoft. Most of the help topics being created by those companies now are not by them; it's by their community. And then guess what happens? All of that SEOs too. So now, a good chunk of that content is being created by their community. Now, you got to be a community of a certain size for that to work, but these are the sort of techniques that people are using to get people to come to their website. And I'm happy to talk to you afterwards too about some great companies in the space who work on this problem too. Any other questions?
I have a question about marketing research, because that has also changed as marketing itself
Sure.
has changed. So can you give like a few examples of some of the top
When you say marketing research, so the question was, what are the top marketing research tools and tips on that? Well,
Right.
how would you define marketing research too?
Well, like for example, when I took a marketing research course 10 years ago, we were told, okay, Dun and Bradstreet.
Right,
That
okay.
no longer even exists.
Right.
And we were told, you know, go out and do a questionnaire on the street, get
Right.
people's feedback, and you know, do the
Right, okay, I got it, good. And it totally depends on the product that you're, or the research you're trying to complete. Some of those same things that were available before have just moved completely digital. And I'll give you one example, at least from our own company, because we work with a lot of small businesses. And so going to the street to ask small businesses is not very efficient for us. There is some online research tools where you can get involved, but we want to get real data from real people,
Yes.
right? And so there's a lot going on there. There's a bunch of communities that are popping up where you can engage tons of people very, very quickly. In fact, during the break, I'll give you a few of those. We use things like usertesting.com. There are a bunch of others, and I'm going to flub them up, so I'll probably ask one of our team members. I will tell you this, that research on things like that went from a couple times a year to us to we're probably doing market research
on a daily basis.
weekly, daily. Some of it from our own people who visit. So if you look along the trend, we watch and measure and monitor how people come to us and what they do. If that sounds spooky, part of that is we're dealing with a generation who doesn't want to talk to us sometimes too, right? So, and we're going, wow. And prices are dropping on things, right? So software now used to be $1 million and $100,000, and now we're offering it $20 a user a month. And why? Because shoot, you can get apps for 99 cents, right? So world's changed, and so the amount of money we can spend against these things is dramatically changed. So the first bit of market research we do is our own people. That may not work for you. The second piece, though, is places like usertesting.com, and there's a whole bunch of other sites out there. And I wish one of our guys was here, I'd ask him right now, because there's a couple sites where you can actually pay whole groups of people to do microtransactions and look at things really quickly for you. And then you can finally select who they are too, and there's some really cool things happening there. And what you get back from them is video feedback, real time. They're on your website, they're looking at your material, and you actually hear them. Sometimes you see their face, and they're looking at the material. You can see where their mouse is, or what they're looking at, and they give you real-time feedback. And it's actually wildly affordable. So there's a lot that's going on there, and I'm happy to talk with you more. But most market research is done when you get to a certain size from your own community, right? It's probably 70% of what we learn now is from our own users. And this is the reason why companies like us track things. It's not, I don't know, spooky Illuminati thing or anything like that. It is literally, this is the reality of how we need to work with this new generation. By the way, I did win a bet from someone. I said I would say Illuminati. I had 3 words I had to say. So one of my team members, they were random words. I still have to get one of them out. I don't know if he's in the background to see this, but you'll have to watch the video later. Anyway.
Hi, I know you spoke a lot about GoCanvas from customer standpoint, and I'm very inspired talking about hyperlocal company like GoCanvas being so successful, right? So, can you speak a little bit about your journey from when you started Canvas as an app, and how did you pivot, and how did you get your first few customers?
Yeah. So Canvas is not a hyper-local company, because we got customers in 70 countries.
No,
And
but your hyperlocal as an inspiration for
oh,
starting this
thank
app.
you. My sister, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I will pay you later. No, we get started in 2008, which, by the way, recommendation to anyone: don't start a company 3 weeks before an economic crisis. Hire soothsayers. Psychics are always awesome. Do what you can do to make sure you don't start. So that's lesson 1. But we did do that. No, how we got the first few customers was pretty much the old-fashioned way. We asked people. It was very much high touch. Software as a service business has really changed the face of software. And it is, Gail Goodman, who's the CEO of Constant Contact, calls it the low, slow ramp of death. She's a very pessimistic gal sometimes, but it's an apt metaphor to some degree, is that software used to work. If I were selling solutions like we are now to companies, we would charge them hundreds of thousands of dollars. Salesforce, Square, some of these companies on here, similar sort of solutions would have cost hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars, and now we're offering it for pennies to the pound, but you pay for it per month. So what happens is, the early days of these companies is a little bleak, and you need capital. This is the reason why we talk about SBA with capital and things like that, is more and more small companies and bigger companies are taking, later in their life, are doing really, really well and high margins, but early on in their life need more capital than ever before. Or they need capital to get something up and going, because it takes a while. You know, our average subscriber now pays something like $26, $29 a month, and so it takes a bunch of those to pay for salaries and the lights and things like that. Where if we'd sold the software for $1 million, we could have said, okay, we got everybody covered, we'll sell another one and we'll sell another one. So it takes a while before you're at a steady state. No, that's the only thing I'd say. It is an ongoing commitment to the vision and mission. We haven't pivoted per se in a hard 90-degree fashion, but in today's world, you're constantly moving. So software, we have meetings, we're rapid agile, we change our software direction every 3 to 5 weeks. So it used to be you create this large, what they call waterfall software. You decide what you're going to build over an extended period of time. Now we look at that and we change the direction of our software every 3 to 5 weeks. We look at that and pivot off of that, and then have near daily scrums where software standing up and understanding how we're doing against that, so we can sort of have micro pivots every day. So we don't have a 90-degree pivot or a 180-degree pivot. We've been lucky at it's really been timing to get into a market in the mobile space and solving this problem. So thank you again for the very kind comment, and I'm happy to talk to you after. Any other questions? Any other family members want to? Yeah. Always happy for that. Great. Awesome. So there's some food here, I think, right, Nick? Happy to have some conversations with you. And we're certainly proud to join the Technology Coalition of the SBA, and certainly spend some time with their members here and find out how they can help you. Thanks.